Well, in this episode of Chords Coffee, we're taking a look at the 1-5-6-4 in the key of B. And you know, for whatever reason, I don't know why, the key of B, the key of re is a whole other episode of Chords and Coffee. It's an alien chord. I do know it. And I'll teach it to you later.
Key of re.
The key of B is, for whatever reason, just one of those keys that people just, B, I don't like B, the yuck, B, right? And maybe that comes from, maybe horn players don't like it, or, piano players don't like it, but on a guitar, the key of B, it's awesome. You get, you got 2 E strings ringing open, so your 4 chord is going to be robust, like a good cup of coffee. Your B, you got a B string, and it's in the perfect location because it can be this droning string. And I'm going to show you on this episode, I'm going to show you some ways to play this familiar 1-5-6-4 that maybe you hadn't considered yet that have just beautiful voicings. And this isn't all of them. This is just kind of the tip of the iceberg, if you will. But I love the key of B. So with that, let's jump into it. And I think it'd be just appropriate, as we're jumping into this, let's just do the regular bar chords. If you've never made a bar chord in your entire life, well, I am so honored to get the chance to show you how to make these bar chords. But I do want to tell you, if you're playing these and you go, man, I can't watch another second of this. This is just painful. The chords I'm going to show you here in a second, much easier to make, in my opinion, a lot more beautiful. But these bar chords are extremely utilitarian, very useful, and you should know them. So here they come. So the first one, just a good old B bar chord. You're going to have your index finger on the 2nd fret of the A. You're going to have your ring finger on the 4th fret of the D, the G, and the B. And if you can arch your ring finger to where that high E makes that F sharp, great. But if you can't, don't stress about that. It's okay. Just make this, right? That's enough information to get B across. F sharp, it's going to be like this. You're going to have your index finger from the 2nd fret of the E to the 2nd fret of the high E. And I'm just making human capo, and I'm going to build the E chord underneath that, where I'm going to have my ring finger on the 4th fret of the A, pinky is on the 4th fret of the D, and then middle is on the 3rd fret of the G. F sharp. So B, F sharp, and then G sharp minor. This is going to be human capo again. We're going to slide up to the 4th fret from E to E, making a capo, and then we're going to make a little E minor chord underneath it. We're going to have our ring finger on the 6th fret this time of the A, and then pinky on the 6th fret of the D. G sharp minor, and then down here on this E, good old E chord. This is going to be Mel Bay, page 1 E. However, I will offer you this. Sometimes when especially as you're in this neck of the woods, and you're coming down to this, if you find that you end up making an E like this with your index finger free, I don't think that's a bad thing, because I think that kind of sets you up to get back into these bar chord shapes. What do I mean? Well, instead of making it with index finger on the G string of the 1st fret, ring finger on the 2nd fret of the D, and then middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A, let's go ring finger on the 2nd fret of the A, pinky on the 2nd fret of the D, and then middle finger on the 1st fret of the G. So index finger is just kind of hanging out. Why am I doing that? Well, it's because I was just here and I'm just coming down to this, and now I'm going back to this, right? Makes sense? Little ergonomic tip, and trip actually, it was a journey. All right, so with that, now let's get into some of these chords that are a little bit different, okay? This is why I love the key of B, and this is the beginning of it here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have our index finger on the 2nd fret of the A, ring finger is going to be on the 4th fret of the D, and then pinky is going to be on the 4th fret of the G. B string is open. You don't want to hit that high E unless you can take your middle finger and put that on the 2nd fret of the high E. So to get that F sharp. Now we're talking, right? That's really just a B5, because you've got B and F sharp, B, F sharp, right? Just kind of a power chord, but it's great. You get kind of a nice floppy pig doing that. Sounds really cool. So now on this F sharp chord, I'm going to show you this kind of fun maneuver. I still want that B string in there, okay? So that's going to be it's going to be like an F sharp add 11. Here's why. My index finger is going to be on the 2nd fret of the low E. I'm going to skip the A. My ring finger is going to hit the 4th fret of the D, and kind of the round part right above the nail is just barely touching the A. It kind of kills it, right? And also the way the index finger is laying over that E string kind of meets the A too, all by accident, but it works out. And then my pinky finger is going to be on the 4th fret of the G, but watch this little move here. We're going to resolve that kind of sus. Right now it's like an F sharp sus 4, but if I bring that middle finger down and hit the 3rd fret of the G, right, hitting that A sharp, now it's like an add 11, or like I'm adding the 4th next to the 3rd, right? It's a beautiful chord. Pretty. Then after that, let's just do this G sharp minor, okay? Now on this G sharp minor, if you notice, our ring, our ring and our pinky are basically just hanging out on the 4th fret. And so ring is going to be on the 4th fret of the D, pinky is going to be on the 4th fret of the G. Middle is going to come over here to the 4th fret of the low E. And then I got that open B. And then now, because my index finger doesn't have anything else to do, he's going to go back to that 2nd fret of the high E. But if you can't do that, don't stress about that. Just get these guys. I like it in there though. Now, this E, we're just going to remove our middle finger off the low E and have the low E ringing open, and then have the ring and the pinky where they are on the 4th fret of the D and the 4th fret of the G. It's just going to be this E5. And if you actually take your index finger now and put him on the 2nd fret of the high E, you make this really nice. It's almost like a E sus2 at this point. Well, I guess it was an E sus2 then too, because I had an F sharp right there. But listen to this whole thing. To me, that elevates that pretty basic chord progression, which there's nothing wrong with it, but we've heard it a lot. And it makes it unique in the key of B. Well, let's do another one like that. Well, here's a situation where just a second ago when we did that F sharp, that little move right there, what if we did that on all of them? Okay, so let's go back here to B and let's put our index finger on the 2nd fret of the A, ring finger is going to be on the 4th fret of the D string, pinky is going to be on the G string, 4th fret, but just for a second because it's going to come off, and then the middle finger is going to hit the 3rd fret of the G. Now what is that chord? Well, it's like a B major 7, but there's no 3rd in it. So I'm just going to call it B major 7, no 3rd, okay? Right there, the ear recognizes this and goes, oh, I hear that melodic movement. And then as soon as you go to this F sharp that we just did a second ago and do it again, okay? Then all of a sudden you start to realize, oh, that's going to be a thing. That's going to be a little motif. Right? Same thing we did just a second ago, except now this time when we go to the G sharp, the way that I would think about that is I'm going to leave my ring finger right where he's at on the 4th fret of the D, and then my middle finger is going to come down here just like we did a second ago on the 4th fret of the low E, skipping the A. Pinky is going to be on the 4th fret of the G, and then index is going to come down and hit that 3rd fret of the G. Let's keep that going. With the open B, I don't really want to play the high E in there because that's not going to work. And I don't know that if I'm quick enough, I might be able to grab that F sharp, but I think just doing this will be fine. So, quick recap. Now what we're going to do on the E. Well, on the E, we're going to do the same thing. You might go, let's try that. Yeah, look at that. So this is basically that E sus2 thing to an F sharp over E to an E. So what does that look like? Well, that looks like we're going to start on the 4th fret just like we have on the rest of these chords with the ring finger on the 4th fret of the D, pinky's going to be on the 4th fret of the G, but then my middle finger, pinky's going to come off, middle finger is going to come down to the 3rd fret of the G, and that's going to be sort of an F sharp over E, kind of. It's kind of very Lydian sounding. And if you don't know what that is, I did a whole episode on Lydian chords. Thumbnail looks like this. Every time I do that, Jordan, who's behind the camera, goes, "Great, another edit." So with that, it's F sharp, 11 or add 11 over E. It sounds complicated, super easy to play. It's just these two fingers here, right? Middle finger on the 3rd fret of the G, ring finger on the 4th fret of the D, not playing the A, everything else is open. And then slide down to this E. So where you have your middle finger on the 1st fret of the G, and then your ring finger is on the 2nd fret of the D, still muting the A. So. And that works for any combination of those chords. It's a really pretty one. You might be saying, "Nate, that's great. What about something more in the middle of the neck?" I have something I want to show you up here, but first, this middle of the neck thing, let's address that. This is kind of a neat little way to play the same progression, but this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of move the bass around here a little bit. And so this first chord is going to be a B, but it's going to be over D sharp, so it's going to be like the 1 chord in first inversion. Ring finger is going to be on the 6th fret of the A, index is going to be on the 4th fret of the D and the G, bar in those, and then pinky comes down to the B string, 7th fret. And then this is this F sharp sus2 chord, but we're going to do this over, it's like F sharp over C sharp. So we're going to have your index finger holding down the C sharp on the 4th fret of the A, making a human capo all the way to the high E, and then your ring finger is going to hit that's on the 4th fret, and then your ring finger is going to hit the 6th fret of the G, pinky is going to be on the 7th fret of the B, and then G sharp minor here. Basically, it's going to be, your pinky's going to stay right where he's at, your index finger is just going to scoot back over to the low E to high E, and then your ring finger is going to hit of the 4th fret. Then your ring finger is going to hit the 6th fret of the A. And then this E add 9. So this is going to be pinky's going to stay right where he's at on the 7th fret of the B. Your ring finger is going to hit the 7th fret of the A. Middle is going to hit the 6th fret of the D. And then index is going to hit the 4th fret of the G. Play all that. Now right now you might be saying, "I don't know, Nate, that's a little stretchy." It is. But it's another variation, right? Here comes one that's a lot easier to play, and I really, really like this one too. You knew that was coming, right? This guy. So this is going to be first finger is going to be, the index finger is going to be on the 7th fret of the low E. We're going to skip the A again. You're going to have your ring finger on the 9th fret of the D, and then middle finger is going to be on the 8th fret of the G. Open the, and if you have the open E, I don't hate it. In fact, I kind of like it. It makes it a B sus4 at that point. Just remember to mute that E coming up here in a minute. Specifically on this chord. This is going to be an F sharp. It's really like an F sharp add 11 again, because we're going to have that B in there, but we're going to be F sharp over add 11 over A. Sounds complicated. It's easy to play. Ring finger is going to be on the 6th fret of the low E. You're going to skip the A. Index finger is going to be on the 4th fret of the D. Pinky is going to be on the 6th fret of the G. Open B string. Now this guy, this is a really cool grip here, and that's because there's 2 chords in one, and you'll like this. So this is the hardest part about going from here to here, because that's kind of a leap, and depending on the tempo, you might go, it ain't happening, and I would totally understand. That's fine. But in the meantime, this grip is, let's start with your ring finger. So this is gonna be a G sharp minor over D sharp. Okay, So you're going to have your ring finger on the D sharp or E flat note here on the 11th fret of the low E. Pinky's going to be on the 11th fret of the A. Then your middle is going to be on the 9th fret of the D, and then your index is going to be on the G string of the 8th fret. So really this, and then that B string ringing open. And you know what's cool about that? To make this next chord, this E major 7, just lift off your ring finger. You're welcome. That's a really cool grip. Some little buzz there. I wonder if I'm good enough to get a harmonic off of that. No, not. Anyway. So, there you go. I hope that helps you. That is 1564 in the key of B. Some different colors, some different variations on that very familiar theme. And I hope this also just helps you realize, man, the key of B is a great key for playing on guitar. You don't have to have a capo. I'm not against capos. I actually did a whole episode called Confessions of a Former Capo Snob. I use a capo all the time when it sounds good and it's helpful. But if you don't have to use it, man, there's some really cool grips that you can get just by moving your hands around and finding these beautiful open string ringing unique voicings to the key. I hope this was helpful to you. I almost forgot to drink my coffee. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope this was the kind of thing that you go, man, I want to share that. In fact, I'm going to subscribe to the channel. God bless you if you do. Hey, we do this every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. And we have a saying around here. We say we're living life the best we can with a guitar in our hand. And that's the goal. I appreciate you watching. Thank you for the privilege of your time. We'll see you next week for another Chords and Coffee.